Hello and welcome, it's me, Mr. R. Let's do some math. Here's a question I want to ask, which is, how are factors and multiples related? This is a really important question, but in order to answer it, we need to make sure we know what a factor is, and we need to know what a multiple is. But I'm not just going to tell you, I'm going to give you some examples, and I want you to think about what a factor is and what a multiple is. And try and say it out loud, put it into your own words. So if you can think about what it is already, that's great. But if you're not sure, or you're like, I don't remember, it's okay. Let's take a look. Let's say we have 4 times 1 gives me 4. 4 times 2 gives me 8. 4 times 3 gives me 12. In each of these situations, these are our factors. And these are our multiples. So I want you to stop and think, what is a factor and what is a multiple based on what you see right here? I think a factor is. I think a multiple is. I'm not sure, but here's what I think. A multiple is. A factor is. So, a factor is, and one of the ways we described this in the past is factors are numbers you multiply together. Another way we can describe that, and get a little closer so it's easier for me to write. Another way we can describe that is they're the numbers that we use to make multiples. So for example, numbers you multiply together, 4 times 2, I multiply those together, and they make the multiple 8. So factors are numbers you multiply together. They're the numbers we use to make our multiples. Well, what is a multiple? A multiple, one way we talked about this is just those are the numbers you get when you multiply factors together. The definition I like that we talked about in class was that a multiple is a number you hit when you're skip counting. I think that definition is easier to understand and imagine. So for example, if I'm skip counting by the number 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 29, wait, that's not a factor of 5 because it's not a number we hit when we're skip counting by 5s. It's actually 30, 35, and you keep going. Any number you hit when you're skip counting by that number, for example, 5 is a multiple of that number. So these are all multiples of 5, but not 29. Why? Well, because it's not a number we hit when we're skip counting. Oh, you can't see that, I'm sorry. Block that out. It's not a number you can hit when we skip counting by 5. So multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You can keep on going forever. And factors are the numbers we use to make those multiples. So for example, how do I get the number 5? Well, I would do 5 times 1. That would give me the multiple 5. What are the factors for 10? Well, 5 and 5 times 2. Those give me the number 10. Well, how can I get the number 15? Well, I can do 3 times 5. Those are factors that I can use to make the number 15. But there are more than just these factors for each. So let's take a look at that. So one more time before I move on. These are factors, the numbers we use to make multiples. We multiply them together, they give us a multiple. Well, what's a multiple? A multiple, those are the numbers we get when we multiply two numbers together, or we can say the numbers we hit when we're skip counting. So let's take a look at a multiplication chart to see this. What are some factors for the number 24? This is our multiple is 24. That's a number we got when we multiplied stuff together. What are the factors for it? Well, if you look at on the multiplication chart, you'll notice that we see 24 several different times. A bunch of different places. It shows up. Well, that's because there's more than one factor for it. There's more than one way to get the number 24 when we're multiplying. So for example, in order to get 24, I can do 2 times 12. I can do 4 times 6. I can do 8 times 3. Why did I skip this one? Why didn't I count this one? Well, because if we're listing the factors that make 24, I can use 2 and 12 to make 24. This is a factor list. I can use 4 and 6. I can use 8 and 3. I can do 6 times 4, but I already have these factors in my list. I don't need to list them again. So these are factors that make 24. Factors that make 24, we also always include 1 and 24 in that. The numbers we can use to make 24, 1, 2, 12, 4, 6, 8, 3, 24. We can use all those numbers to make the number 24 by multiplying different ones together. So these are all factors for the number 24. So I want you to give that a shot. I'm going to give you a multiple. Let's see if you can do it. Let's see if you can find all of them. So you can have multiples forever. I can skip count by 2, 4, 6, 8. I can keep on going, but I can go forever. 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36. I can keep counting forever because there's no end to numbers. But there's only so many factors we can have. So let's see if you can find all the factors, the numbers we multiply together to get a number. So based on what we just did, all the numbers in here are multiples. And the numbers we're multiplying together, our factors, are along the sides here. What are some factors for 18? Remember, factors are the numbers that we use to make a multiple. So what numbers can we use to make 18? You can pause it, take a look, think, write it out, find them. Because I'm just going to show you in a second. So I will pause it and find them. All right, so here's 18. Do we see it again? There's 18. Do we see it again? There's 18. Okay. Here's another one. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Some ways we can get the multiple 18 are 2 times 9. I can also get it by doing 3 times 6. Oh, I also have 6 times 3. And I have 9 times 2. But some of these don't count. This is not a list of factors. These are the multiplication sentences that make the multiples. Well, what are the factors that I can use to make 18? I can use 2 and 9. I can use 3 and 6. Oh, I already used 6 and 3. I already used 9 and 2. Oh, the only ones I have left are 1 and the number itself, because one that we're missing is 18 times itself is still 18. So these are my factors. These numbers can be used to multiply and make this number. Well, what about for finding multiples? Well, that's a little bit easier. I want you to find multiples of the number 2. Well, all we have to do is skip count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Those are all multiples of 2. They're numbers that we hit when we skip count. And we could go through that again and say, well, how did we get those ones? Well, we could have done 2 times 1. We could do 2 times 4. We can do 2 times 3. Those are how we got those multiples. Remember, multiples are the numbers we hit when we skip counting, or the numbers we get when we're multiplying factors together. So I want you to make a multiple list for the number 6. So what are multiples of 6? So here's our starting point. We're skip counting by 6. Go ahead and pause it, make a list, and then unpause it so you can see the answer. Oh, look at that. You did it. You paused it, and then you did it yourself, and now you're seeing how to do it. Great. So we have 6. Oh, so we're skip counting by 6. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, oopsie, 54, 60, that 4 is terrible, 66, 72. All right, so, and you could keep on going. I could just keep on skip counting, 78. I could just keep skip counting by 6 forever for the rest of my life if I wanted to. Recap. So factors are the numbers we use to multiply together to get a multiple. For example, 3 times 5, 3 and 5 are factors. They give us the multiple 15. Multiples are the number we get when we multiply factors, and they're numbers we hit when we're skip counting by a number. So if we're skip counting by 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, these are multiples for the factor 3. Now that we have an idea of what a factor and multiple is, we can go back and we can try and answer this question. How are factors and multiples related to each other? What is the important thing we did with all of this over and over again when we were talking about factors and multiples? I'm not sure, but here's what I think. Factors and multiples are related. Why? So go and pause it. Again, put it into your own words so you have your own answer and you're thinking about it. And then unpause it and I'll tell you. How are factors and multiples related? They're related through multiplication. We had to multiply all of these. It was all about multiplying numbers together, the factors, and multiples, the numbers we get when we multiply numbers together. It's really important because if they're related to multiplication, then they're also related to division. And if it's related to division, then it's also related to fractions. So factors and multiples are really important for all of these ideas. And that's why it's important that we understand what factors and multiples are. So I'm going to include, hopefully I can figure this out, include worksheets like we have in class where there's questions on one side and answers on the other, so you can do it and then check it. And then in addition to that, I'm going to make sure there are factors and multiples problems that you can look up in Splash Math, and you can also look for them in Khan. So good luck, and I hope you practice it and get better at using factors and multiples because it's super important. Have a great day, and I'll see you later.